Hey guys, Straight Razor Revolution here. Um, I wanted to make another short honing video just to kind of, get some fresh honing videos and tips out there, because a lot of the videos I find on YouTube are old, or, not to say that the methods are outdated or obsolete, but, you know, just like to keep something new and fresh out there. So I'm not going to take a whole lot of time talking. If I am going to switch stones or something, I'll give a quick overview of the stone. All the stones I'm going to be using are Shapton except for two. I have a 3000 grit Suhiro and a 6000 grit Kingstone. Kingstone, it absorbs a little water, but it's pretty much a spray and go. The Suhiro needs to be soaked. I have a bucket of water right here, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in there right now. Let that soak for a couple minutes, not too long. All of my stones are lapped. I do use a DMT to the Diasharp to lap and also slurry and to clean my stones. So all right, just trying to get some of the dried up slurry that's on this DMT to come off. You just have to use it. I don't want to cross contaminate my grit if I can help it. Like I said, all my stones are Shaptons except for two. The highest stone I'm going to be using is a 12K. There's a way you can manipulate the rating of the grit a little bit with ceramic stones, but not a whole lot, because they're I'm pretty sure they're aluminum oxide bonded into ceramic, and the particles are set. They're evenly dispersed. They are what they are. You're not going to be able to. It's not like a natural stone that you can just adjust your pressure and get a higher grit rating, or decide to go to straight water and because the finisher is so hard, it'll make it 15K rather than the 10 or whatever it is. You can't do that with synthetics, really. Not much. A little bit. There's a couple tips and small manipulations you can do to the stone that will give you a little bit of a more higher grit, but really you're just using lighter pressure and more water to kind of keep that grit rating from digging in. So I will be using electrical tape on my spine. The blade I'm going to be honing is a vintage round point that is made in Solingen. It's very old. It's a very awesome shaver. There's very little spine wear for how old it is. The Tangerine's Feinster Silberstahl, which is German for fine silver steel, and of course it's stamped Solingen. There's a really nice stamp on the spine. It says Sunday. This is the Sunday razor of a 7-day set. I've only got this one. It's got a custom set of scales on it. I don't know what the original scales look like. It came to me like this. It's got a bit of a nice etching on the spine. A lot of the gold is wearing off, but it's still really nice. So you can see, for being as old as this razor is, and from what I can tell from dating it, it's from the early to mid 40s. It's definitely pre-World War II. But, for being as old as it is, very little spine wear. I doubt that it was used much, being part of a 7-day set. So, okay. So, I'm going to go ahead and tape it. One layer of tape. Normally with vintage razors, you would use probably 2 layers, but this one, the very little amount of hone wear, if any at all, on the spine, makes the blade act like a new razor when you're honing it. So it doesn't require 2 layers, just one will do. Okay. So after you set the bevel, you get the bevel set in good shape, you want to change your tape. Some people will say you got to change your tape after every stone progression, but I don't find that to be the case. Usually just my bevel setter and then maybe my transitional stone I'll change the tape on, but after that, I roll with it, man. Okay, so I'm going to be using primarily half strokes, so I'll go 30, 20, 10, 5, 2, and then 10 X's to clean up, and I'll move on. So that should be good. I'm going to go ahead and kill my edge on the corner of my hone. So you can see it's not, you know, it won't cut hair at all. You could just put it on the rim of a glass like this to kill your edge. That works just fine too. Okay, and we're off. Give it a little bit more water here. So these synthetic stones don't require slurry. You could use it if you wanted to, but it's not required. Okay, so this is a half stroke, all right? As opposed to a full stroke where you would come down and then back up. That's a full stroke. These are known as what's called half strokes. So what I'm doing is a modified version of Japan Blade's axe method. All right, so here we go. Medium pressure. Heel leading. All right, that's 30. Move this out of the way. Why am I always dropping stuff in my videos? All right, that's 30. And you could see these Shapton stones work really fast, man. They're already, you know, the swarth is on here pretty thick. All right, so that was 30. Now I'm going to go back and do another 20 on each side. That's 20. Stone's drying off here. There's 20. Now 10. Five. Add some water. All right, now we'll do some X's to clean up. Now the X's I like to do with a little bit less pressure than what I did my initial passes with. So like right now on the cleanup strokes, what I'm looking for is the way my edge is reacting with my stone. Sometimes it's easier if you knock off some of that water. You don't want a lot of water. You want to have, you know, only a little bit of water, a little bit of slurry on the stone, so you can really see how is my blade reacting with the stone. How is the edge acting? A lot of water, a lot of slurry or swarth will easily ride up onto your blade. So the less you have, and if I have a little bit of slurry, a little bit of swarth, and it's riding up, you know, and it seems like my blade is undercutting easily with very little fluid on the stone, then you probably have that's a good indicator that you have a nice set bevel. All right, so remember, medium to little pressure. This blade, man, I really love the way it shaves. Being, you know, on or about or pre-World War II, I mean, for being as good shape as what it is in, somebody really took care of this, or either, you know, just never used it. So I got it for a really good deal. I saw it and I loved it right away, and I had to have it. So, you know, I would have paid $200 for it if the guy asked for that much, because I just really liked it. All right, so now I've done the initial 10 or 15 passes, and I'm literally going blade weight only for a few passes here. And I may actually do some pronounced X strokes. Yeah, I'm just using my finger to balance the blade. Because when I'm doing very little to no pressure at all, the blade wants to rock off the side. So I just use my finger to balance it. I'm literally not putting any pressure. I'm just using my hands to glide it along the stone. Okay, that should be good for my 1K, but I am going to check it with my loop just to make sure. You know, you could do the wet fingernail test. There's two different ways to do this. You could drag it along your fingernail to see if there's any differences along the edge, or you could put it on a steep angle, and if there's a good set bevel, the blade will dig in and stop from falling all along the blade. You know, if there's not a good set bevel, it'll just slide right off. It seems pretty decent, but I'm still going to check it with the loop. You know, some people have regular jeweler's loops. I prefer these little jammies right here because not only do they magnify, but they illuminate. And it really, really gives you a very good magnified image of just the edge. It's very good. It's very inexpensive. It's just a couple bucks on Amazon. I highly recommend these to anybody who's going to be honing. So when we're checking the edge with the loop, we're looking for edge quality. You know, is it smooth? Is it rough? Are my scratch patterns all the way to the edge? If they're not to the edge, you need to keep going until your scratch pattern is to the edge. A set bevel has a scratch pattern that goes from the top of the bevel all the way to the cutting edge of the bevel. That's what is known as being to the edge. Okay, so it's a little bit toothy right now in some spots. That's okay. My other hones will clean that up. No problem whatsoever. It looks like we're to the edge almost everywhere. I'm going to give it a few more passes because there's a small spot near the middle that does not appear to be to the edge. Okay, so I'm going to clean my hone off, get the swarth and the built-up slurry off. And I'm going to go water only right now with very little pressure. This time I'm going to be doing more of a Japanese type stroke. It's a half stroke, but instead of picking up to go all the way back and come down, I'm going to do kind of like the half stroke with a reverse stroke in it. Very little to no pressure. I am tweaking the blade a little bit towards, you know, on the tang, tweaking it down towards the cutting edge. Another technique you can use is to point. If there's a bald spot in the middle, you can point, or you can run your blade across as you drag it down like this. That works really well too. Even pressure all the way across the blade. And a couple cleanup X strokes. check it with the loop one more time. Okay, my scratch pattern is definitely all the way to the edge everywhere on this side. You know, but just because one side's scratch pattern is all the way to the edge doesn't mean both sides are all the way to the edge. So always, always, always check both sides of the bevel. So many times I see these guys in honing videos check one side of the bevel and they're like, oh, it's all good. But, you know, a bevel consists of two sides coming to a perfect apex. So, you know, you may look at one side and it looks good. The other side may be all to pieces. You don't know. All right, so now we're moving on. We are going to change tape and move on to the 3K. It's been soaking right here. This stone is phenomenal. I love this stone. It's not super expensive, but it gives you such a good quality feedback, and you know, it just reacts with most kinds of steel that I've used, especially carbon steel, very well. All right, so I'm going to change tape after the 1K. Clean the blade off, make sure there's no previous grip particles on there. Change tape. This 3K, this is a Suhiro. It's very smooth, very creamy. Builds up a swarth and slurry very easily on its own. But it also loads up with metal particles really fast. So you have to do a lot of maintenance on this stone in order to keep it performing well. Soaking it properly prior to use will help to alleviate some of that. If you try to use the stone without soaking it, you're just basically working backwards because this is such a thirsty stone, it's unreal. Okay, so I'm going to do the same exact thing I did before, you know, 30, 20, 10, 5, 2, and then X's, and then I'll check it. So you know what I'm doing. So I'm not going to do a whole lot of talking here. You know, I can tell right now by the way the swarth and the slurry is acting on my blade that there's a good level of refinement just from the 1 to the 3, and that my scratch pattern is most likely completely gone already from the 1K. You know, I can feel it. I can feel the blade wanting to. It's almost like it's gliding very smoothly, and the whole blade is directly in contact with the hone, but it also feels like it's mildly biting in. And I can see from the swarth pattern, the straight line of it, straight line, my entire blade is in contact and it's completely flat against the stone. So that is a perfectly good technique, you know, a good sign. And when you do circles like this, you see how the swarth in front of the blade is staying straight. It's not washing out underneath of it or, you know, riding off to the sides or anything crazy like that. It's staying flat in front of the blade, and that's a good sign. My entire blade is in contact with the stone, and I'm getting good edge refinement that way. So that's what you want to look for. Normally I wouldn't do circles like that, but I just wanted you to see the way the blade slurry reaction is when you have, you know, proper contact. Little to no pressure. And my swarth and slurry is riding right up on the blade right now, all the way across it. That's perfect. That means we're undercutting, which is an awesome sign that our progression is working out quite nicely. All right, so again, I'm going to check my bevel with the scope. Oh, nice. So my 1K scratches are completely gone. It actually, this Sugero stone is so good and creamy, and you know, the grit rating are so even that even at just the 3K, you can already see the beginning of the pre-polish. The one thing I've always had a gripe with this blade is that the bevel is not even all the way across. Like in one spot it's thinner than it is in the other, it's thicker in the toe than it is in the heel. But you know what? Like, there's not a lot of blades out there from this era that are just almost completely wear free. So, I mean, I guess I can't complain. All right, moving on to the 6K King. And at this point, I'm not going to change my tape. You know, you probably could change it after your transitional stone from the 1K, but, you know, I'm not going to, just in the interest of saving time. Okay. So on this 6K Kingstone, I'm going to do the front and back just because of how skinny it is. It makes it a bit easier to control. All right, now some cleanups. right, that's good. Check my bevel. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, really good. Again, we're checking to see that the previous scratch pattern is removed and that the new scratch pattern is all the way to the edge, which we are. So that's good. That means we're free to move on to the 8K. You know, one thing I love about these Shapton stones so much is that you don't have to soak them. They're very hard stones, so they last a long time before you actually have to lap them. I lap these semi-regularly, but I'm very familiar with them, so I can kind of, you know, have a really good understanding with these stones about when they're not flat and how my blade acts when they're not, so I know when to lap. Okay. Well, that sound is my tang rubbing against the corner here. Okay, now some X cleanup strokes. I highly recommend these Shapton professional stones to everyone. They are, in my opinion, the best stones, the best synthetic stones on the market today. The most consistent as far as, you know, results. Probably the most user-friendly as far as maintenance goes. They don't load up quick. They don't require, you know, a whole lot of lapping all the time. The grit particle rating is very consistent and very evenly spread throughout the stone. And, you know, the price that you're going to pay, especially if you get the Japanese version, the Ha no Kuramakus, it just can't be beat. The performance for the price is phenomenal. I know that my blade right now is where I want it to be because of how the swarth and the water is reacting with my blade. Again, I know my blades, I know my stones, I know how they act when I've achieved the results that I'm looking for. And the undercutting and the liquid, there's very little water on my stone right now, but you know, the minute I touch my blade to the stone, I can see the water disperse in front of the blade and ride up onto it just from touching it down. And then when I start to move it, it just effortlessly rides right up onto the stone. And this is mostly water. And, you know, experienced honers know that it's more difficult to get plain water to ride up onto your blade from undercutting than it is to get slurry. So when you start to very easily and dramatically undercut water, you know you have a pretty good keen edge on the stone that you're working with. All right, I'm going to scope this one time. And I'm going to move on to the finishing stone. All right, so we got a really nice pre-polish going. The scratch pattern is all the way to the edge. I don't see any remaining 6K scratches. My edge, the actual edge, cutting edge itself is very flat, very straight, not toothy at all. It's very smooth looking, just like you would, you know, hope to see. Very good, very good. Awesome. And it's very consistent throughout the entire length of the edge. I don't see a lot of variations in the way the scratch patterns are looking or, you know, anything like that. So everything is very consistent. Very nice. Okay. Yep. Good to go. All right, moving on to the 12K. So this stone here, this is the Shapton 12,000 grit M5. It's half thick of a normal stone mounted onto, I'm assuming what's marble or ceramic or something. But this stone is phenomenal. It's really, really good. It's really, really hard. You know, it's a Shapton, so that performance that you've come to expect is there. And you know, it's just a phenomenal stone, and it's a very inexpensive stone compared to other 12Ks on the market. And in my opinion, I've used other 12K stones. You know, in my opinion, this Shapton M5 and also the regular Shapton 12K outperforms any stone in its grit rating class. Any stone. I've not found another stone in this grit rating class that will outperform the Shapton. Okay, so on the 12K, I'm not going to do as many passes. See, this one is a bit different than the other Shapton ceramics. It absorbs water a little bit, not a lot. It's not a super thirsty stone, but I found that I'm not sure if it's evaporation or what. Okay, so we're going to do some X cleanups. Do a few circles just for posterity. And some more X's. Blade weight only pressure at this point, guys. Okay, scope it one more time and then we'll go to the strop. Okay. Very, very consistent. You know, at this point, the bevel is actually starting to look almost black because of the polish. It's no longer reflecting light properly. So it actually doesn't bounce back off as easily, so it appears to be black. You really have to tweak it and adjust the angle to get the light to reflect off of it back to you. Okay, so we are all the way to the edge. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, so at this point you have two options. You can either go ahead and strop it and roll with what you got, or you could do what's called a jointing maneuver, where you would, again, very gently, not hard enough to kill the bevel, but very, very gently run your blade edge across the corner of your stone or across a piece of, the rim of a glass, or even through a cork or felt block or something, just to knock off that wire edge. And then after you very gently joint it, you would, bring it back with a couple strokes on the, a couple X strokes on the actual stone itself. But I'm not going to do that today. I'm not going to joint it just because this silver steel is very high, very hard, very high quality stuff. And the edge retention is, it has a good long life to the edge. So I'm going to pause the camera and get it set up over by my strop so we can go over a stropping routine. All right, guys, we're back. So I'm going to be using a couple different strops here. This strop is a canvas strop that I made myself. It's really good. You can see it's, pretty wide. I made this out of an old pair of work pants, the canvas type of work pants like Carhartts or Dickies. Phenomenal strop. I've used the flax linen fire hose strops, and this performs as well as that. So half of it is coated with 0.5 chromium oxide, the other half is clean. So I'm going to go ahead and run it on the clean side a little bit. And I'm going to do about 15 passes on the Chromox. Alright, that was about 20. And then back to the clean side for 10. And I'm just going to clean off the blade to get that chromium oxide off there. I'm really actually thinking about moving to the CBN spray, the diamond. Just because I hate the way the chromium oxide paste or sprays chunk up on my blades. Okay, so this is a skinny strop, right? Dropping stuff again. Skinny strop, one side is canvas. One side is leather, okay? Rhindelder, or whatever it's called. So this is a very skinny strop. I like this strop a little bit. The draw is amazing on it. But if you ask me, it's a little overpriced. Okay, so this is a strop I really usually strop on. Alright, this is a, I'm not sure what type of leather it's made of. It's very nice. The draw is amazing. It's nice and long. Again, a skinny strap. I'm a big fan of skinny straps. I do have 3-inchers, but I tend to use the skinny straps a little bit more, just because I feel like I have better control over my blades. I just like them. Okay, so this is a polyester strap, scrub leather, and smooth leather. I literally only use a smooth leather. This strap is available from the Whip Dog. Larry sells really great straps for the low. So check them out at thewhipdog.com. They have the poor man's strap, the 2-strap strap, and the rich man's strap. This is the 2-strap strap. And for the money you spend for what you're getting, this thing is phenomenal. Highly recommend it. So you can either do a X pattern, like that, or you can do what I do and just do half at a time. So I do, so many laps on one half the blade. And then so many laps on the other half. And I just mix it up as I'm going. The draw on this strap is really nice. I really like it a lot. Okay, let's go ahead and peel the tape. Sorry this video is so long, guys, but this isn't just a bevel setting video. This is an entire progression video, including stropping, so it's whatever. Okay, so I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. See, that arm's pretty much clean of hair. Okay, see if we can, okay, here we go. We got some hair here. I mean, it's just taking the hair off, no problem. Trying not to hit my bracelet there. I mean, I got a big bald spot on my arm now. I mean, look at the blade, covered in hair. No problems. And this is one smooth shaver, let me tell you what. I mean, it's lopping the hair off halfway, it's just plucking them left and right. And the bald arm. All right, that's it, guys. That's how I hone. Well, I guess on certain razors, depends on the steel, really. But for this old Solingen silver steel, that's my progression. So, I mean, take it for what you want. You got to develop your own styles and techniques, but, in the end, you'll find what works for you as long as you keep honing and keep trying new different things. All right? Thanks for watching, guys. If you stuck with me, awesome. If you bailed out halfway through, I totally understand. But, for those budding honemeisters out there, I hope you learned something. I hope I contributed something to your honing, and feel free to suggest new things to me too, because I'm always learning. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Remember to like, share, and subscribe if you like what you saw here today. All the subscriptions and comments and everything, they really help my channel out. So, I appreciate you. Straight Razor Revolution, I'm out of here.